Hi everyone, welcome back to another Perspective with Viv episode. My name is Viv and this is the show. How are you? How have you been? So now this is the first episode that I'm dropping under this bonus season. I'm doing a fun thing to kind of like put out recordings that are backlogged, give them their own space to shine before we start season 6. So I thought, okay, let's call this the summer season. Okay, this is our bonus season. We've had bonus episodes, and it's fun because I'm going to make it fun. That's the whole thing. This podcast has been a beautiful space, and I allowed myself to see what it's like when I open up the gates. Now I understand how to really, really utilize it. So I want to make this bonus season a fun season with things that you can't expect. Interviews, yes, but other little anecdotes. One of the fun things being today's episode. The title of today's episode is Sweet Heat. And that is because we're going to be talking about Bolu Babalola's sequel to Honey and Spice, okay? And it's called Sweet Heat. Take this as a romance part 5 episode. I think we have 5 parts of romance, 5 episodes on romance. Podcast has like, I love that this podcast has series. Like, oh gosh, I'm re what's the right word? I'm acquainting myself with my podcast, just me and it. You know what I'm saying? And I'm also in real life. It's like there's a mirror that I'm looking at myself, and I'm asking myself whether or not I am who I say I am. All right, so we'll delve into things. Let's see how it goes. The main reason for this episode is to talk about sweet heat, but we'll sprinkle some other elements of romance into it if it calls for it. Okay, so let's do this. So let's talk about Sweet Heat. What is Sweet Heat? Like I said, it's a sequel to Bolu Babalola's Honey and Spice episode. I spoke about Honey and Spice in Romance Part 2 and Part 3. So you can search for that. Romance Part 3 is the second episode of this bonus season, so it shouldn't be hard for you to find it. Sweet Heat. What can I say about Sweet Heat? First of all, I highly recommend Sweet Heat. Why do I? It's well written. It's really interesting. It kept me interested based on the stuff that were happening for Kiki. Not necessarily the romance in Malakai, which was the second thing for me, but I loved how I really was invested in how her career progressed. Oh, Kiki and I, when we first met during on Honey and Spice, I liked her because I was just in like the early years of my podcast. She was doing her radio show. We had similarities in our antisocialness, We didn't have the same background, but that never stops you from relating to a character. I liked her intelligence. I was shocked by how mouthy she was, but I always like embraced that in women because yeah, you take those women very seriously, and I love the budding romance between her and Malakai because it was very organic. Bolu had me with this second novel by making it seem as though they broke up and they were coming back to reconcile for an event. Amina, Kiki's best friend, and Kofi, Malakai's best friend's wedding. That was a good premise for the story. Kofi is getting married, so Malachi is his best man. Obviously, Kiki is Amina, one of my favorite characters, her chief bridesmaid, right? Bear in mind, I'm seeing all of these things from my memory. I've not written a structured thing. I just have what it is I want to talk about with this book. So I love that. We start off from my memory. We start off with the engagement party. Malachi comes in late. And what I love and what I really like as a person, I love when there's tension between you and someone who you've had a particular level of familiarity with before. I'm not the kind of person that can say, oh, I want to go back to my ex. You know what I'm saying? So for me, I didn't look at it as, oh, I'm going back to my ex. I always looked at it as Kiki and Malachi are destined for each other. This was just a break. He's not really her ex. Do you get what I'm saying? That's how I saw it. And it will bring me to talk about Bakari, her boyfriend, her interim boyfriend, before she went back to the love of her life, because that's how I saw him. Okay. So Malaka, what I loved about that scene was that Malachi comes in, the tension is already there. She's looking sexy, he's looking sexy. He's grown, of course. 5 years is a long time. He's gotten bigger, even sexier. I'm sure he even had more of an adult face because one thing about age is so beautiful, especially when in a scenario like this, we've grown, our bodies are different, our face is different, our personality, well, how we think may be different, but because it's real, they're finding themselves still at a level in which they're receptive to each other, whether they like it or not. So that's what it was like in that engagement scene. Loved it. Okay, now, and the way Bolu wrote this story, I give it to her because she planted things that were intentional in terms of things that moved the story along. Oh, spoilers, by the way, because see, you have to have read this book for me to talk about this book and you're listening to it. But after the engagement party, Amina is like a bit protective and wary of Kiki because of how Malakai hurt her during the breakup and how it took a long time for her to recover. But somehow, Kiki is one of the last people to leave. Her phone is about to die, and Malakai just happens to be standing outside as she's waiting for her cab. One thing leads to another. They go upstairs for her to charge her phone. He just happens to have a room in that hotel. She stays there. She tries to charge her phone. Then dialogue starts to happen. One thing I love about Malaka and Kiki is so clear that they're meant for each other. Why? He gets her language. He gets the way she speaks. Kiki, I love her puns. I love her. She has the best puns, right? She has the best, like, one-liners. She's very witty. She's just so good with words. She's a connoisseur of words. And I know for a fact that it has to do with Bolu being like that as well. Because Bolu is a very I love the way Bolu is rooted in pop culture, how she's very aware of it and how she puts it in this book. It's very refreshing for me because I'm not deeply into pop culture, but I get so excited by it that I ask myself, why am I not, engaging in it more? So it's a very, very refreshing thing that I had in Honey and Spice, but it's even more refreshing in Sweet Heat because now Kiki is older. When I read that book, I was still like late 20s. Kiki is like 25, I believe, in this book or something. She's mid 20s, but I still feel like, okay, what I felt when I read Honey and Spice was that it's like a young adult coming of age novel. I said I wanted a more adult version of it. I wanted a spicier version of it, not necessarily essential scenes or anything, but I wanted an adult writing of the storyline. I wanted to see their love through an adult lens. So I love that there's this sequel because Bolu brought it. She brought the tension, she brought the sex, she brought the language. She just made us know that we have grown. These people are grown. Loved it. What else? What can I say? So there's so many layers. I'm just going to allow my mind to unfold the way it wants to. But in that scene, dialogue starts to happen. They always have the best conversations. They have great banter, Malaka and Kiki. And one thing leads to another, and they end up having sex. And I love how that sex scene was described because think about it. This is somebody that you loved deeply. 5 years have passed. Heartbreak, all of that. You see them again. Your body responds to them the same way. They know your body in a way that nobody else does. And you engage in that act. You have sex. And trust me, man, even though I've not had sex with somebody that I've not done that, but I know the feeling very, very well. I've watched movies, I've read books. I know that tension being released with someone that I spoke about it in a notebook in Romance Part 3 that when Ali and Noah had sex finally, it was that tension of we've known each other in past, that kind of thing. We didn't actualize it. There are different layers. They didn't know each other in that way yet, but the tension from that time trans transported into that time when they were now adults. Do you get what I'm saying? So with Malaka and Kiki, they're older now. Yeah, there's tension, all of that. They have that sex, and that sex is everything. You get what I'm saying? Then all of a sudden, Kiki switches off because in her mind, he doesn't really want her. Whatever it is, Kiki used to find things that just give her a story that she wants to stick with. That's one thing that I battled with her in this story. Because it would just be simple moments and she'll just pull something like a storyline. He doesn't want to be with me, he doesn't care about me. And I'm asking myself, Kiki, what are you saying that is making you feel like Malaka doesn't want to be with you because it's frustrating me. After that scene, obviously, as a story, it's not that they fall back in line together immediately. So yes, Kiki had to leave. Fine. So she left. They didn't have sex. They didn't talk about it again. Tension was there. I hated the fact that they had that tension, Malaka and Kiki, because Malaka and Kiki, they're like a well-oiled machine. Them not having flow together and synergy means the universe is not working. Do you get what I'm saying? That's exactly how I feel about their love. And it's because of the way the love has been written, that banter, the way he sees her, the way Malakai, the way Malakai pours into Kiki with words of affirmation, the way he sees her, the way he supports her. I don't want to digress too much, but oof, it kept showing over and over in this story. Like he never lost it. And I love that. You get what I'm saying? Okay. So we've spoken about that night and then we move on. So obviously Kiki is helping Amina prep for the wedding, different things I'm planning, talking to the mom. I loved seeing Amina's family. I love seeing Amina's mom, her sisters. Like I said, I like Amina a lot. This book made Amina feel more human because Amina was making mistakes as a friend. I've always seen Amina as a top babe, knows what to do, knows how to handle herself, knows how to comport herself. So it was nice to have this human moment for her. Not nice per se, because I was angry at her that why is she acting like this? But obviously it was showing the stress of her about to get married, all these things that were on her mind. It showed her glitching. It was nice to see her have some of her own struggles outside of Kiki. Kofi was more of a background character, but when he showed up in a way that made sense. Like when Kiki, I'm jumping forward now, when Kiki and Amina finally had an argument because things had been building. Amina had done some weird stuff, right? Kiki had questioned it. And then finally it came to a head when Kiki was walking. Oh shit. No, this story was really well written because now I'm jumping forward. I'm like, should I jump forward or just go back to progress? Because I don't want to get to these juicy parts. This story was really well written. So I'm going to go back. So after a while, Malakai and Kiki didn't talk, right? All of a sudden, Kiki, by the way, is trying to figure her career out. And she's trying to figure her career out because she's left the radio show. She started, no, did she leave the radio show? She had a podcast. Yes. Kiki, you and I. She had a podcast, The Heartbeat. The podcast was born as a result of Malakai. So you see how Kiki has moved from a radio show to a podcast. Like I said, creatively, we're really aligned. I love her career. Even when, and I understood the whole she's trying to find her footing. Oh, wow. She feels like a failure. What is going on? That's how I was feeling. It's not necessarily that I'm in a place where I just want to know where I'm going. You get me? I want to know where my creative career is going. So I could just understand what Kiki was going through. Enter Bakari. Bakari is the guy that came out of nowhere when Kiki was like coming out of the healing of Malakai. And let me tell you something about me that is an issue. I always feel that I can't open myself up to someone when I've opened myself up a certain way to another person. Do you get what I'm saying? Even as Kiki, reading the book from Kiki's point of view, and Bakari came in, I was like, it can never be the same. Like what you had with Malakai, it can't be the same. And I'm not going to lie, at that moment, when he came in, it was refreshing for us because, yes, I may not completely like relate with Kiki, but I can get where she's coming from. I can get what she's experiencing. I mean, come on, breakups, nursing that and all of that. So when she met him, yes, nice distraction, all of that, and decided to get to know each other, I could still feel that bland feeling. Malachi is spicy. Do you get what I'm saying? Like Malachi and Kiki are hot from their dialogue. Carrie from the beginning it was more of a witty banter, like an intellectual one. Malaka is intelligent like that, but it was more of a mind connection with Bakari. I mean, he was in tech, he's revolutionary in his own way, like he was progressing, but he was so generic, Bakari. Let me explain what I mean by that. So, okay, good news or a fun fact to share. When Buli Babalola was in Lagos, I went for a book reading of Sweet Heat. I could not believe my luck that I just found it, you understand? And I didn't know that I didn't know that Honey and Spice had a sequel onto that day. I was just going because, okay, I've read Honey and Spice. I like Buli Babalola's writing. Let me see what is up. You get what I'm saying? It was really nice to see her. I was one of the first and I got my book signed. I would always keep this in mind. I got my book signed. Hold on. I must read the message to you actually, because it was a lovely meeting. It was, when it's just lovely meeting authors. I tend to meet authors a lot. So I really like that. I'm partially in the book world. And now I want to move more into it. There are different like industries that I like. Publishing books. I've always gone for book festivals, always love to go for author signings. Those are the really fun part of me. So it was nice to see Bola and ask her to write. I bought that book immediately. I didn't have the funding for it, though. But I was like, nah, this is an opportunity. I bought that book. I bought it in November. It was November that this happened. This was under a Cave Festival, but it was at the British Council here in Lagos. She says, Dear Fida, so lovely to meet you at the British Council. Your energy is beautiful. Lots of love. It was so sweet. And then we took a picture. Love her, very intelligent lady. Loved hearing her speak, loved hearing her read the chapters. You can find them on my Instagram. Don't worry, I'll post them on the Perspective with Viv page, actually, just because we're talking about the book. And yeah, the podcast is back. I'm very happy. It was a nice hiatus, but like I'm restructuring. And one thing that grounds me is this space. So yeah, I'm happy. I'm happy that I'm finding my footing again. So what was I trying to say about Bolu? So Bolu, during that time when she was talking, she said something about Bakari that she did not make him or write him in a way in which we immediately say, oh, he's not right for her. You get me? That she did not want to put things out that made us immediately root for Malachi. She wanted it to be like sort of like an equal blah blah blah. I don't. I feel like yes, she did that. You understand? He didn't outrightly do anything that'll make you think, oh, Bakari is bad. However, oh my gosh, from the get go, you could just tell that they were not the same. I don't know how to explain it. When you've experienced spice with somebody, you would know when the next person is bland compared to the spice that you've experienced. And that's exactly what the air felt like with Bakari and oh, is it Bakari? Oh, Bakari and Kiki. He was boring. I trust me, I can recognize boring from a mile away. He was boring. He was generic. Yes, generic because he wanted to do everything that seemed right in society. Do you get what I'm saying? Like, this makes sense. Like, even if it means like putting your morals aside. For example, why would Kiki want to partner up with a white hostess to share her show with just because they're trying to reach a different demographic, that she's for black people and all of that, she's for the culture. And Bakari is like, come on, you make more money. I'm like, ugh, you're missing the whole bloody point here. Do you get what I'm saying? He's very generic. He does the things that are meant to be done. I don't like people like that because it means that they don't have a mind of their own. It seems as if they have a mind of their own, but they don't. You're doing what seems popular. You're researching top rated this and that. You're looking at what everybody is wearing now. Where's your own personality? Where's your own identity? And she called him out on it later on in the book, which was good. Like, Bakari is the kind of person that I can secretly hate, despite them seeming like they do the right things. You're just doing what looks right on paper. Behind it, there's no feeling. Do you get me? That's what he seemed like to me. He seems so boring. And when you've had a Malakai, oh, no, no, no. And I know that feeling of being with someone and you just feel dead inside. I've had that feeling. Don't worry. Maybe we'll talk about it in another segment on this episode because I could go on and on. But Bakari just made me feel like this is a guy that I can hate. You understand? And when they went on a break, he'd not even take a break before he started fucking people. Do you get what I'm saying? Like, he's just weird. I don't care that you're a tech bro, you're making money, blah, 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 blah. Money doesn't make a man. It makes things comfortable. Yeah. Like, Kiki, she married Bakari. Like, yeah, should have been comfortable, but should have lacked passion in her life. And I'm very adamant about that. Like, even the way he proposed, like, he's just very generic. Please, Malakai, on the other hand, you know me, I always root for Malakai. Malakai came back into London. He just felt different as a character. He felt heavier. You felt that grief of him losing his father there, and then you could also feel that loneliness of when he went to LA. I know what it's like to go to another country when you're going through things already. I was in Philly for 9 months, and for the first 7 months, I was heavily depressed, and being far away did not help. So you can imagine him going all the way to LA. His family is in England. Everything that he knows is in England. He's just doing whatever he can. He's in Hollywood. You're bound to get caught up in certain things that you're not really aware of. You get me? Enter Tare because he had a week of passion with her. Malakai, from the way he's been written from the beginning, good things just happened to Malakai so easily. Like, Malakai was picked to work under a director in Hollywood. Like, Digger and saying he was flown to LA. He's known as the prodigy. Yes, it does not look good. It looks good on paper. Behind the scenes, it wasn't that great. However, I just found that Malakai always had things going for him so easily. And that contrast with Kiki would have made her feel away, but she was always supportive. Not made her feel away per se, but made her look at herself like, look at me, I've not really done things well in my own end. This my boyfriend is has his own thing progressing. Let me just support him. But oh wow, I'm thinking about a lot of things. I'm also thinking about us because he's been going through a lot of grief with his father's loss and he's been pushing me away, something Malakai doesn't do. Do you get me? I loved how she put all of that together. She made it clear. Oh, and Bolu, the flashbacks in this book are so much better than in Honey and Spice. I remember saying something about flashbacks in Honey and Spice, not really blending with the story, just being put out as a piece of information. Here, it was well written, it was well structured and put in the right places. It made sense very well. So that was really good to see. Once again, the sex scenes, yes, this tension, the pool time when they went for that party at M's house when she was grinding on him in the pool. I was like, these people have a natural synergy with their bodies. You can feel it through the writing. And I love that. That's how you know a couple that were deeply entrenched and they had to be yanked away for whatever reasons. Fuck that, man. And then the banter once again, it's like the banter with them is just so electrifying. Malaka and Kiki, they connect with their deep part of their brains, like their souls. They have games that I don't know, they just connect. And then Malakai talking about her work and pouring into her, boosting her up in front of somebody that came to come and talk to her. You didn't even have to ask him. It was just in him already to do that. Despite the fact that they've broken up, he does not care. He's going to like prop Kiki to anybody that is asking. I love that guy. Oh, Malakai. Nah, you could tell that he had more depth as well. He had grown. You could tell them coming back together, the scene that caught me. I'm not going to lie. Look, the scene with the girls, like for example, when the girls were all at Shakara eating and doing all of that, I loved how Bulu made it clear that the girls had cemented in that foursome, that friendship. You understand that yes, they still had their best friends within the group, but the group had synergy. I could tell. One thing Bola has really written well that I know must reflect in her life is friendship. She has written really well written. She has, yeah, well written friendships with depth, with understanding. Each girl has their own personality trait, but they openly tease, show irritation for things that are annoying, but accept everybody for who they are. And that's beautiful. You know what I'm saying? So them coming together as Shakara with their dad, with them Bolu's dad being there, Bolu's one being better, all of that. The vibe was really nice and I liked it. You get me? So it set precedence for the fact that look, friendship is still an important part of this story and it was really well written. So why am I saying this? Because with Malachi coming in. Yes, why I'm saying this is that scene before the next scene really, really made me know that I'm going to enjoy this book because I love the surprise and the intimacy with which Tari was introduced to Kiki. I love that Kiki was sought out for that opportunity. It made the creative in me feel so happy at the possibilities, the presentation of the offer, the fact that the place that she'll be working at was close to her house, the intentionality that Tari had towards wanting Kiki to be there and then also picking Malakai, Let's not even talk about the fact that she was the woman that Malakai spent that week with. But I love the maturity with them being able to work together despite that. You know what I'm saying? I love that Malaka and Kiki found their way to each other again. Malaka and Kiki keep just finding themselves together because they're meant to be and it was easily written there. But that opportunity, when Tari presented it to Kiki, it was as if it was presented to me as well. Being a creative director, being a producer, she's doing a film, the album, Kiki knows her music. And I said to myself that let me not lie. I'm really, really like, what's where I was slacking when it comes to music. So I love that that was revived in me because yeah, there's a lot to do with music that I'm here to explore. And it's one of the main reasons why I started this podcast anyway. So Kiki reminded me of that and Tari and the songs, the way Bolu described the songs. Anyway, I just love that. So that held my interest. I could not drop the book after that because I wanted to see what it was like for them working together. Malaka and Kiki, they did well working together. They did well with the projects. I love that they had perks as well. I love Tari's dedication to the craft. I love that Tari had money, and connects. I love that it was just real. And then my favorite part, when they use Shakara as that set for Tari's music video. And then Tari is like, no, you and Malakai have the chemistry that I'm looking for. Let's you two be in my music video. I loved it. I loved it because, like I said, the tension between them, the way they know each other's bodies. I love to feel tension between characters. Tension really makes me happy. So yeah, I love that. And I love when people can see it and then the couple is like they're trying to pretend that nobody can and that there's nothing between them. So I love that between them. I love that this guy came. What's his name? And I know his name all. The older brother that had the suya burger spots, sweeting in honey and spice. Oh gosh, he came and he give her a proposition that I could buy the restaurant from her parents. Come on. Oh yeah, Kiki's parents were about to sell the restaurant. So Kiki was just balancing a lot. I don't want to go into it, but Kiki was balancing a lot while trying to be a good friend to Amina in terms of planning and also hiding the fact that she said to Malakai because Amina was not going to be having that. You get me? A lot of things were happening, but that's one of my favorite scenes. That Shakara scene, especially when Malakai was the one that spoke to him about the big brother, I've forgotten his name, that spoke to him and said that please, you need to buy this thing, something. Don't say that it was about me or from me. You get me? Another side note I want to add is that I love that Malaka and Amina really are Kiki's people because when Bakari sent a bouquet of red roses, case in point about Bakari, how does he not know that she doesn't like red roses? Bakari is just like someone that you're in a relationship with, but he's just in a relationship for a relationship to say that he ticked it off his box. Do you get me? So Bakari is coming, presenting red roses, further proving that he doesn't know Kiki at all. Then he says that, that he's bought the people that host the podcast that now she would technically be working for him, something. It was all about business, but that they look good together. It was never about passion. And I'm just glad that they had that honest conversation between themselves. That was so mature. I loved it. And I love that they were able to see that they love each other and then go their separate ways. Life doesn't have to be difficult. You get what I'm saying? It was so, no, this book was very, it was giving. So Malakai and Kiki had that small time, in her flat and all of that. Fine. They were having little moments that show that they did have a true friendship under all of that romance, which is so important, which is why I like that. It's friendship is still a central theme in this book. Then finally, they go to for Amina's bachelor party in South Africa because Tari has a friend who has a house there, and Tari gives it to them for the bachelor party. Can you imagine? Ah, God, I was just feeling myself. Then they were there, all looking good and in support of Amina with her favorite color. You could just feel the friendship. You could just feel their support. Then they find out that the boys are in the house next door. So Tari owns two houses. Oh, good. I was so happy. They had a party together, the bridesmaids, the groomsmen, and then they went for a festival together. She described that scene so well, and I loved how it was that her and him had that special code that made them go to the corner and just like talk, share a makeout session, which was good. Like the tension was just crazy, and then have a deeper conversation. They just had a great relationship, and at the end of everything, I loved. It's like Bolu was so intentional with what would drive this story because when I found out that Kiki was locked out of the house and people were either having sex or sleeping. I said, no way. So she has to go back into the house. And Malakai found her outside. Malakai had always been deeply attuned to Kiki. You get what I'm saying? I wasn't surprised that he found her outside. Not that she knocked on the door, that he found her outside. How? It's just a Malakai thing. The same way he would know that he should talk to that big brother about him buying Shakara to help her parents. And he just does these things not to be seen as a good guy, just because he genuinely is a good guy that cares. I love this book. 5/5. Oh God, 10/10. Jeez. Like I didn't even know that. I've been reading this book for a while, but I didn't even know how deeply ingrained all this information was in me. Like you don't even understand. Like I'm regurgitating from my mind. So then, okay, then go inside, right? Okay, they have like a small attitude between each other. And then he gives her a t-shirt. She goes into the room. Then they're thinking, both of them are thinking. They've always been in sync. And as she opens the door to tell him what she feels, he opens the door to tell him what he feels. And they meet in the middle and then they make out and they have the best sex. Bolu, props to writing great sex scenes. I see why you said that your parents shouldn't read it. I wouldn't want my parents to read it either, but the sex scenes were so amazing. Like they gave what they needed to give over and over. And you can tell that Malakai genuinely worships Kiki. This is what I mean when I talk about when we write men in these romantic stories. These are the kind of men I want to be seeing in my life. Like, I want to see my life. If I don't see it in reality, I'm fine because I'm just going to be writing them in novels. Like art really helps to save you from the damned existence of reality because reality I'm finding lacks magic and I'm trying to understand, am I missing something? Because my life used to be more magical outside of my life. Do you get what I'm saying? I'm just seeing like there's so much death around. And when I say death, I mean things are in material form, but there's no soul behind it. Yes, I'm just seeing that. It's crazy to me. Anyway, so they had sex and then they come out. Now we're at that argument that Amina and Kiki have. Bear in mind that Amina has been sort of weird. You get what I'm saying? She has been fiercely protective of Kiki over Malakai to the point where it's intrusive. She blurted out in front of Tare, Kiki and Malakai's boss that they were dating. You understand? So she had a confrontation with Tari and Malakai about that. And Kiki was like, why would Amina do that? So I love that in terms of friendship, right? We could see certain things that would be a form of conflict between Amina and Kiki who love each other so much. You understand? Amina and Kiki are so in sync and are so in tune. You get what I'm saying? I love that. Mm? So you could see this little friendship stuff, right? Okay. Now, all of that culminated at the time when Kiki came out of Malakai's room and saw Amina and they got into an argument. You hear what I'm saying? Everything was coming out. And I love that because true relationships, you have to have conflict. Old me, there was a flash of old me when I was reading this book. I was like, that is this enough grounds to cut Amina off? And I was like, that why would you cut Amina off? This is your best friend, like from time. Friendships, they're about having arguments and conflict and like sorting them out. Do you get? So I love that was an avenue for huge conflict because Kiki had been Amina had been crossing the line. So they had that huge argument. I love that the guys tried to come in, but there was this like respect of we shouldn't get into it, even though they interjected. Malakai, I love that he pushes back, even if they shout at him. He was like, Kiki was like, this has nothing to do with you. He was like, but I heard my name though. Do you get what I'm saying? I love that. He's not a pushover. So they had an argument and then they split their ways, right? After a while, Amina went missing. Her phone was on silent. She didn't know, but Kiki, knowing her best friend, now went to find her with Malakai and Kofi. And I'm not going to lie to you, that point where, what's the right word? Oof, that point where they were in the car, it was a very good climax. Bolu, well done. Ah, Bolu, this story, for me to even see it like this from my mind, this story was good. In that car, it was a combination of everything. First of all, Kofi, he has been a background character throughout the story. Slight inflections here and there of him. Yeah, but whatever they're saying about him is him being a stand up guy, him booking a spa weekend for Amina so she's not stressed, him being sad that his best man is not around for the engagement party. Just little things. You get me? Him carrying Amina to the room after the after party. I love the vibes that you described. Anyway, so, but in this moment, Kofi was able to shine. We hear about how Kofi feels about Amina. We hear that he feels that that's her soulmate, that she's his soulmate. You hear how, she makes him feel and that it's not really about the wedding, it's just about them being together, and you can, despite the story being about Kiki and Malaka, you definitely understand Kofi and Amina's relationship. They really are for each other. Oh gosh. I could cry. Oh, really nice. So we have that small dialogue, right? Then Kiki comes in to say her own thing, which is like an indirect thing to Malakai. Sometimes when people leave, it's not about you, it's about them. They're running away from their thoughts, or they have too many thoughts that they're trying to like calm down on. And it starts with me because eventually Malakai and Kiki realized that yes, this guy left, right? Malakai left. But like Malakai was like, was struggling with so much and I felt like it'd be better for me to remove myself. Kiki also had her own thing. Sometimes it's really like that. Like there's too much going on. I can't handle this. I have to leave. So it was kind of like a small apology to each other indirectly, although they were talking to Kofi. Well, Kofi just wanted to see Amina. But what I also love that is beautiful is that, and there are so many nuances or small things that made it clear that this is written by somebody that understands these themes very well, friendship and romance, because Malachi got into the car, everything. He drove them. They got to the bakery. Amina was there. And Kofi, despite that big thing that he had said about Amina, he was like, should I give you guys some space first? You get what I'm saying? He allowed the friend to meet the friend first. You understand? Tell her that what does she want? What does she want me to do? Just let me know if it's about me, blah, blah, blah. I'll sort it out. That's what you're saying. It was beautiful. She and Kiki, Amina and Kiki sorted out their stuff. And you could tell Amina was very apologetic about everything. And I really love, once again, having those human moments for Amina because she does seem very put together as a Nigerian girl from a strict family. Get me? But it was a very human moment that made me want to just hug her. Her saying, oh my gosh, I didn't know that my phone was not ringing. Ah, God, I'm going to go and make everybody look for me, blah, 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 blah. This and that and that. She was just in that moment in her life where she's getting married and she's assessing where she was, where she's coming from and where she's headed. It was very real. Where am I going? The same way Kiki was talking about her career. She doesn't know where she's going after this thing with Tari. What will her life look like? It's the same way Amina was like, should I open my own management business? Am I acting in line with what is meant for me to do? Who am I really? Slowly, slowly, those things start to come to a head. I loved it so much. So they sorted out their friendship. She apologized profusely for all those things. They addressed the lack of boundaries. And I was happy because I was like, yeah, this is your best friend. Like you address things. You get, I loved it. It was really like nice. Then her and Kofi now hugged and blah, 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 and sorted things out as well. And then all of a sudden, oh gosh, Bolu, all of a sudden, they just said, let's do the wedding here. And they have an intimate wedding. Because, Bolu, I was going to ask you, how are you going to describe this intricate Nigerian wedding that we're going to have? She settled it with an elegant, intimate wedding. And I found it so beautiful. Yet I loved it. Like the vibe, God, it was such a vibe. This story was such a vibe. And then the end, 2 years later, in which they're in Shakara. Oh, yes, I cannot forget. Key, I love you so much because of what you said about Shakara sounds. Like you introducing that. Once again, when you brought that idea up, I was like, wow, Kiki really like gets me on a career level. And I was like, okay, I think I have an idea of where I want to go with certain things. Shakara sounds, I was like, it's not like, oh, I want to do something similar like that because I'm not rooted in music. However, there's so many things I could do. Do you get me? So let's just keep that open. But I love the whole concept of Shakara Sands because that's where they now ended it. The restaurant, Shakara Sands, her being a co-owner, Sweet Tea coming with their own menu, fusing it with Shakara, them having their own music stuff. People, it was so cultural. Oh God, it was so beautiful. And then now she's a creative director. She's a producer. You know that kind of thing. They've won a Grammy or they get a Grammy nomination. Amina has a daughter. Kofi was the one that was changing the diaper. I love the dynamic was still maintained. And then finally, he proposed Malakai. And yeah, beautiful, beautiful story. Just before we go, just a brief this thing about Tari. I loved how Tari was captured. Very ethereal, magical. And I love that she had money to spare. You get what I'm saying? I love that she was also not afraid to show her discipline, to be firm. You get what I'm saying? But also put the responsibility into Malaka and Kiki that look, I have other things to sort out. Are you guys good? Can you sort these things out? I loved it. She was very professional. She was very sweet, giving. You could feel the vibe of her music. You could feel that ethereal kind of vibe with her. Oh yeah, Tara is so me. I'm not gonna lie. Tara is me. Yeah. I claim it because Tara, and I like that Bolu finds it easy to write about these kind of like whimsical girls. You get me? Because trauma is also one. You know what I'm saying? And it's very, very accurate. So I loved it. I loved how they were gushing over her with her clothes. She does seem otherworldly when you hear her they talk about her and beautiful, you know? Mm-mm-mm. So, yes, shout out to Tari. And then before I come back to how this story ended, I love the scene between Bolo and her mom. You see, that alone was a very good scene alone to show dynamic between her and her mother. And her mother showing that she sees her daughter and is advising her to allow certain things to go so that better things can come into her life. I loved the conversation. I loved how it was. It was very beautiful. So many themes touched in this film and I enjoyed it so much. Even them bringing back M, that was actually extremely funny. We never got to know who M was, but I think we knew that they were a she. I also want to add that scene with Shanti and Kiki where Shanti walked into her room and asked her about how she was and how she had been balancing everything because Kiki was working extra shifts at the restaurant. Like the restaurant was on the verge of closing down. That's why they were looking for buyers while also being maid of honor, doing maid of honor duties, then balancing the work with Tare as creative director as well as other things, interviewing her for the documentary. It was two jobs in one. Shanti came to the room to talk to her, and all of a sudden, she said something about Malakai. When are you going to be honest about what's going on between you and Malakai? And Kiki at first was defensive, but then she just said to herself that, please, I even need somebody to talk to her about it. So she talked to her about it. And what I liked about that scene, first of all, yeah, it's not only Amina that knows Kiki. These friends, they've actively cultivated a friendship together, but it's nice when you see that one on one with them. I think they picked Shanti's character because she's more grounded than Chioma in a way that may bring a different energy to the conversation. I think Chioma is more accepting immediately. Like, for example, blatant example was when they finally said something about Malaka and Choma was like, oh, I already knew from the first time we stepped into London. Like Choma knew before anything happened because Choma is intuitive like that. So the conversation wouldn't have been as long as the one with Shanti. Choma just explained it to me. She didn't even need extra information. She already knew it. So that was enough confirmation for her. So that was a good balance for why they chose Shanti for that, why she chose Shanti for that scene. Shanti brought that no nonsense energy, be direct with me, be strict with me, and Kiki needed that. And she said it, and Shanti wasn't judgmental. She just loved the gist. And, she gave her that space to be free to express and said, wow, you've been carrying a lot, blah, blah, blah. So she was there for her in that moment. And I liked that. I thought that was really sweet because you're seeing different elements of the friendship group, and yeah, it worked out really well. Okay. So yeah, that was a good one. I just wanted to share that. Overall, having the final chapter be Malachi proposing was such a beautiful space in the best place to do it, Shakara. And this story is worth a read. I highly, highly recommend. Oh God, I can't believe I even captured it well. I'm very happy. So I'll take a short break here and I'll come back for the next part. Thank you. It'll be another time. We'll gossip. We have to gossip another time. Oh gosh, I'm going to make it a gossip episode for sure. But thank you so much. This was a review of Sweet Heat by Bolu Babalola. And currently, if we're talking about books, I'm currently reading another romance novel called Son of the Morning by Akwaeke Emezi. Now, if you listen to Romance Part 2, back when it was released in 2023, at the time when I finished reading Honey and Spice, I immediately picked up You Made a Fool of Death with Your Beauty. I was supposed to do a review on You Made a Fool of Death with Your Beauty, but life got in the way. Talking about it now, maybe I could talk about it briefly when I review the book Son of the Morning, because Son of the Morning by Akake Emezi is just a beautiful, stunning read. And I love how, ironically, 3 years later, after dropping Bolu's book, I'm picking up Akake's book almost immediately, and we are still on the rhythm of romance. I love reading romance novels. I didn't even know. I'm just reading what, based on the authors that I like. You know what I'm saying? I tend to like authors before I like their work or before I know their work. Maybe I've known them before I know their work. So it's because of them that I'm buying the books and I'm interested in knowing what they've written. But so far, so good. These authors are not disappointing. They are lovely. Bolu, Akweke. And if we're going to talk about Akweke with this Son of the Morning, let's do a partial review. First of all, Son of the Morning is a fucking sick, amazing book. Akweke wrote something that is out of the norm of what they've been writing this whole time. They've written about humans. You get what I'm saying? At least with the adult version. Because I've read all the adult books. I can practically say that because this is the only author that I have read their adult books as they come out. Freshwater, The Death of Vivek Oji, You Made a Fool of Death with Your Beauty, Death and Thuran, this one, Son of the Morning. I don't have their poetry. Oh no, I don't have content warning. I've not read Pet or Bitter. No, I've not. But these ones, I'm proud. Oh, I'm proud to say that I have these books on my bookshelf. I'm proud to say that because there's a certain thing about Akweke that I love. Their writing is out of this world, literally. Their writing is out of this world. Their writing is in contact with other worlds. And that is what Son of the Morning is about. Do you know what Son of the Morning is about? Spoiler alert. It's about a girl falling in love with Lucifer, the devil. And in this book, Akweke has so boldly made Lucifer a character that you can empathize with, a character that you can see. They've made Lucifer outside of the image Lucifer has been given, but a person that feels, a person that empathizes, a person that said they're going to change the way they rule hell. A person with feelings, a person with desires, with wants. Like immediately I liked him. I I don't want to go and start explaining myself. Immediately I liked the character because it's a juxtaposition of what it is you've been told about Lucifer. Immediately, Lucifer was the one that was willing to concede to Galilee, who is the female protagonist, because of her power and how she made him feel. Immediately, Lucifer was able to show warmth towards a woman he hardly knew just because of how he felt around her. And what I love so much, I always write in my books, although no, I've only written one romance story. I really, really look for that internal knowing between a man and a woman or, two romantic leads in a story. What do I mean by that? Being able to tell what they are thinking or what they're feeling without projecting, like seeing how words settle on one's skin. You understand? Being able to read their mood and knowing what they feel or what they need. Like, okay, for example, Lucifer was watching Galilee talk to her family, and the way certain things landed on her and made her hurt. He could read that way very well on her. I think that that's the most beautiful kind and deeper or deepest type of intimacy one can write and one can experience in a love situation. They have that. They had that from the get go. You understand? This ability to read, this ability to feel what the other is feeling and to give them what they desire, whether it's a hug, hold them, you know, that kind of thing. Whether it's like you just being behind them to feel their warmth, to steady them, they have it. And I love that it was so well written. I love that Lucifer was written in this way because God, it now makes you start to challenge your mind because Lucifer is fighting heaven. So now we're thinking about heaven in a way that obviously we're not meant to think. But I like that there's a challenging of the mind in that. Yes, I'm not going to lie. When we're talking fiction, what are your limits? Like, how far can you go? Akeke can go far. And, you know, for me as a person, I said to myself, how far can I go? One thing about me, I don't ever, I cut my coats according to my size. I don't know how far I can go in the way Akeke does, which is fine. I think my own path is more like how it was in my house remembers, thinking about death, thinking about ancestry, thinking about who is here, who is still not here, thinking about spiritual elements, at least to a certain level, because now I don't know if I'm still in tune with my full magic, which is why it's so funny that I started reading this book immediately because in no more having this theme of not being human, of being something powerful that I don't know, having this want, because Galilee has this deep want inside of her, something that I feel that I have. You get what I'm saying? It's like this book is just giving me an avenue to allow myself to open up to aspects of myself that I may have been afraid of. Yeah, because Galilee is somebody that is not human like her family. She's from somewhere else, but they hide that secret. She's more powerful than they want her to know. And they don't know the extent of her power. So Galilee had to be like this kind of like oddball that is still loved within the family of matriarchs. There is a family of matriarchs, which is just another wonderful premise to start the story off with. I just love it. Very unique storyline, very beautifully written as usual. I can't drop this book the same way I felt when I was reading the same way I felt when I was reading Little Rots. Akeke, you have me all the time. Like I'm ready to dive deep into wherever I want me to go when you write your books. Like I'm there, like I'm devoted. Akeke's work, I love the way my mind travels because they're traveling in to worlds or edges of worlds that the normal human mind hasn't been to. And sometimes I love to feel like afraid where I'm just taunting myself when I say, what does that say about my mind? I know how my mind is. I know the way my mind was broken before I fix it piece by piece. That's why I know that I have the capability to actually like extend my mind to the levels with which Akweke writes. And Akweke is just a brilliant freaking writer. This book is gorgeous. This book is beautiful. What else? What else? What else? It's heavily matriarch for sure. I love that. There's so much more I could say, but it's because it's just this is just a partial review. I really like Lucifer as a character. I do very yeah. Lucifer. I guess when I finish reading the book, I'll be able to say it even more. But oh yes, let's talk about the sex. I love that. Nah, G. Akweke, please. And then the whole time I've been reading this book, I've been saying, Akweke, shut the fuck up. Akweke, don't do this. Akweke, why are you stressing me? Akweke, you always stress me. Akweke, why is this happening? Akweke, oh my God, you're an amazing writer. That all the commentary. Because that is the roller coaster that I'm always on when I'm reading an Akwaeke Emezi book. And I love it. Like I am literally devoted to this writing. So what's my point here? Is opening my mind up in a certain way because I'm not going to lie to you. Like if we're talking about shadow work, I'm in a space where it's like I have to confront certain dark parts of me. You get what I'm saying? Not as dark as this book, obviously, but certain parts of me that I may have pushed away because people were afraid of. But this book, Galilee, I've passed the point where Galilee actually is no longer afraid and taps into her power fully. And Lucifer is so happy to see it. Lucifer follows her lead when she's like, Lucifer, kneel down. And she kneels, he kneels. I'm like, oh my God, I love it. I love a dynamic in which there's synergy. I don't have to experiment to you. You know what I'm asking of you. I know what I'm asking of you. Do you get me? There's that telepathy thing. I think that's a key thing for me when I'm writing characters and when I'm living my life. I don't believe that I'm in love with somebody unless I have that form of telepathy. I've had it with friendships. Oh yeah. One thing about me, I've had it with people that were bad for me but I've had it with them as well. And that's when I realized that, wow, I do have the gift of connecting with anybody. People that have been terrible to me, we've had great telepathy because we're connected. You get me? And it's not like they were terrible all the time. When they're terrible, they're terrible. When they're sweet, they're super sweet. That show that they knew me to that extent. Do you get me? Relationships, they're beautiful in their own way. Anyway, what's my point here? This is a beautiful story that I'm reading and I should finish soon. I'm happy that I'm just reading. After this book, I know there will be another romance novel that I've been reading already, but I've not finished. So I'll try to finish that one and then move to something else. I'm in my reading bag and I am so happy. Another thing I wanted to add about Galilee. Galilee, the whole story is about feeling like you're different and hiding parts of you that you feel that the people you love, if they see it, they wouldn't love you anymore. And I think that that's a very common wound that many people have. So Akeke puts this wound, into this story, making it different, not only not about humans, but really about monsters, angels, about archangels and hunters, just like supernatural, the show, really. Yeah, because it's challenging what you think about God, heaven, Lucifer. It's humanizing Lucifer. Like, come the heck on. Like, who writes like that? Just a person or just a being that just has a really, really crazy mind that you want to explore through their writing. Oh, like Akaki does that shit to me all the time. Anyway, my point is the whole wound is about hiding yourself. Honestly, am I even like joking when you know that this is what we talk about a lot on this podcast? Like visibility, hiding. Where are you hiding? You're hiding because you feel like you wouldn't be accepted for being your true self. And a very beautiful scene in that book is when the two friends that Galilee has made in the human world, salvation is the name of the place. They accept her, they love her, the love covers it all, and she's like, oh wow, really? And they're not afraid. And as I expect, maybe a little fair because Galilee was burning the garden just by standing, but still, like, the fear was bigger in Galilee's mind than in real life. And I think that's a beautiful thing for people to hold on to when they read a book like this. Like, you find out that you don't need to hide for the right people. And I really love that because Lucifer, when he's hugging Galilee, because he's so proud of her for standing her own, it's just a sexy, like, I don't know how to explain it, but I know the way I feel that I know the way Akweke wrote that dynamic between Lucifer and Galilee. Galilee was showing out. Galilee was standing up for herself, was being in her power. And I could feel how that turned Lucifer on. You know what I'm saying? I could just feel it. And when he hugged her and she tried to like reduce her power so she wouldn't hurt him so much, he was like, never turn down your volume for me. I want to see your entirety. Or something along those lines. And God, the way that made me feel. ah. Ah, gosh, I moaned immediately. Like, and that's that kind of that writing, that scene makes you know that the author has gone through that period of feeling like they have to hide themselves from people that they love, but have now been able to meet people that love them for who they are, regardless. Oh gosh, it was beautiful. It was really beautiful when Lucifer said that because I also feel like a lot of women want to hear that from who they love, that is their partner, or they're working towards that, that they love you in your highest volume. That's real love because, oh gosh, I don't want to go down that route of thinking about when you are huge in terms of energy and the person that is with you is terrified or threatened. It's just not a norm in my mind. Like, that's not something that I even want to even, yeah. Let's leave it at that. But Lucifer saying that it like broke a spell inside me. And I think it was just meant to be a general breaking of a spell in people that read the book that actually people, friendship, love, family as well, that you being your power is okay. Don't ever think about turning down. Let me see the real you. That's love. And I love that. I love that that's where I am in life now. I'm let me say in the beginning stages because I could go down the whole route talking about this, should I? It's like, okay, for example, when I was advertising this episode or when I was building, yeah, when I was creating the build up to this episode, right? I was posting old clips of me from past episodes. I know that if you're a regular listener, from my past episodes, I've always been very vocal and loud and passionate, that kind of thing. Okay. So it was about going back to who I was then. And luckily, I didn't feel weird or strange this time. I don't know, my capacity for visibility has really expanded because I've opened up other aspects of my social channels that enables a lot more people to see me. So I'm being seen on different levels. But let me tell you something, it's actually working. Like my work is actually having a steady audience. You get me? What I need that to transit is into money. But I now see I'm not marketing my products well. I'm just offering a free service without a direct place for them to go. So it's really about me, you know? But point is visibility, allowing myself to be seen. I'm in that journey because I want deeper relationships now, friendships, people that will show up at big events, people that have been with you from the get go. I'm building that now because life has just really started for me, thank God. So I'm in the beginning stages of building my foundation with people. So it's like, who are the people? Who are you what are you looking for in them? Most important thing is they see you. Do they have the capacity for you? People that are okay with your truth. I've always felt, yeah, I've been around people that have not necessarily. I hear when people are afraid of me, my truth, and me, my power. I hate that fear because it's not a fear that is productive. It's a fear of you want me to be small so you're comfortable. I don't like that at all. So that's why I said that's those words that Lucifer said, man, it really it soothed me in a way. Very good writing. And then not only Lucifer, um, Celestial, the cousin of Galilee, her closest cousin, was looking at her without fear in her eyes, like pride, and the way they accepted the fact eventually was a quick acceptance of Lucifer being important to Galilee, which is just showing the underlying themes of a good communal relationship and then individual relationship with the person. They love Galilee. Galilee was seemingly on the side of the devil. And because of love, they came to a conclusion. They spoke truths. You can't have a good relationship without truths. It's better to have it than secrets. So I'm realizing that, it's beautiful for me. I do love relationships. Like, it's so funny. I was going to make a post saying, I think I like people now. And I think I've always liked people. I love relationships. I love interacting. I love talking. I love talking. I do a lot. So thank you for the podcast. Who else? So basically, there was just this strong theme of acceptance, this realization by Galilee that she doesn't have to hide to be loved. She doesn't need to tamper down her power to be loved. She just has to be herself alone, and people would adore you and make you feel like, gosh, it's such a dream to have the real you in front of them. Oh wow! So that was a beautiful, beautiful theme that was addressed in this book that I love. And maybe eventually we'll talk about the mother-daughter relationship between Galilee and Colette. I think without them having very main scenes together, Colette has proven to be a very good mother to Galilee. Yes. I don't want to put the spoiler yet until I finish the book, but in a way where she could have felt fear or shame, there was never that. She fought for her daughter, spoke up for her daughter, punched her cousin, wanted to kick her because the cousin was saying disgusting things to the daughter, calling her the devil's whore. There was also that theme that was shown that happens in families where you have a family dynamic, right? It's like they're always in your business. But there are always some family members that, if given the opportunity, they'll show their animosity and it'll be very nasty as I believe that it was Sage that said those dirty words to Galilee, and Colette punched her in the mouth. That was so satisfying. So Colette, loving. And then not only that, the dynamic between Nana Darling and Colette, mother and daughter, her holding her hand when she was upset, that's what they were saying, her gently questioning her, but her seeing what how Darling made a sacrifice for her daughter and her soon to be granddaughter, Darling. I'm sorry, the Galilee. Yes. Oh, it was lovely. I'm enjoying the book. I've had to put it down. It's taking a lot out of me. I'm not going to lie. Oh no, it's taking me down a road. Do you know books can transport you to places? Books and films and anything art really, any medium. But whoa, the books are like portals. I've really been transported in a place where I think I need to read this book to kind of activate aspects of my thinking. And when I say thinking, let me break it down. I feel there's a lot going on within, and the planets are aligning in a way that affirms what is going on within. So it's a shadowy time for me. What does that mean? The parts of me that I came, the parts of me that I brought onto this podcast to try and cultivate so I could be better in real life. Exactly that. The parts of me that I've told myself stories about that. Oh, I can't show this side of me because it would make people uncomfortable. It will shift things, it will shake things. But all I've been doing is like managing my power, restraining my power. One of the key things that they spoke about in this book is leashes. The leashes that we put on ourselves to restrain our true form from showing that we know we've put there. And the leashes that we didn't know that we're born with, that we put on us from birth. So we don't know the capabilities of our power or the extremities. We don't even think about exploring our power. I don't even know where I am anymore, really. I don't know. I'm having this like mirror, I don't want to say crisis, but mirror moments in which I'm looking at myself and I'm thinking, who are you really? I never thought I'd get back to this point where I'm asking myself, who am I? And I think I'm ever shifting. I don't know. That's why I said I want to rebuild my foundation as a person so that I know where I'm going to. I know where I'm standing from on. I don't know. I just feel super new, like a new human. Yes. So blank slate. Like I don't know me, but I know this place, this podcast. So all these things are very interesting to reflect on just because I'm reading the right books. So we'll see. Let's see how life goes. I love talking about books on this podcast. Thank you to the readers for listening to these episodes. I'm so happy that I got to record this. And yeah, we will see where we see. My name is Viv, and this is the Perspective with Viv podcast. Thank you for listening. Bye.